Hey, what's up, Loft workers? I just wanted to touch base with you and provide you with an updated training video just to make sure you feel resourced and equipped to show up on Sunday morning and do the best job that you can. First off, I just wanted to say how much we appreciate you. The work that you do every Sunday morning with our kids, it is making a lasting and eternal impact in the lives of our children. What you do is not insignificant. What you do matters so much. And I just wanted to say how much we appreciate you, how much we love you. Seeing you use your gifts and coming to serve and being in the lives of children, making the choice that I'm going to use my gifts to invest in these kids, in their spiritual formation, and to be in their corner and support them. And there is just nothing greater than that. The kids notice it. We notice it. The kids know that they have adults that love them, that want to be in their lives, that care for them, and care about the path that they walk in their life. So what you do matters, and we are so thankful and appreciative for the work and the effort that you put in for our kids. A couple things real quick. I just wanted to encourage you to show up prepared, having fully comprehended your lesson, right? It doesn't matter if you can recite or memorize your lesson or anything like that, but we also don't want to just read it off the script. Make sure that you understand what you're teaching. Maybe it takes going through it a couple times throughout the week and making sure you've got your head around what you're teaching and you've let it affect your heart as well. I've always heard it said that you don't need to recite things, you need to understand things. So make sure you are in the weeks leading up to the time that you teach. I know you don't always have the lesson, a month in advance, but whenever you have that lesson, make sure you're spending time throughout that week, at least the week before you teach, learning that lesson, making sure you understand it so you show up ready to teach. I want to encourage you to set clear and kind expectations with the kids. If you are in kids ministry or the Loft, you know that some of the kids are getting a little bit older. I think it is very fair for us to set expectations that, hey, we're expecting you to be locked in, to be engaged, to learn something, and to participate. So set those expectations in a very clear and a kind way. And at the very least, if things get derailed and sometimes things just don't go as planned, make sure the kids are learning the main idea and practicing the memory verse. I love to make sure the kids can repeat to me what that main idea is and what it means. A great way to make sure your kids are leaving having learned something is to encourage them to be ready to teach it to somebody else. So a lot of times at the end of the lesson, I'll have the kids teach the lesson back to me in very quick bite-sized pieces. That way I know they understand what it is, and then I encourage them to take that information, teach it to their mom, dad, grandpa, aunt, uncle, whoever it is that takes them home, to teach it to them on the ride home. So when they have to teach something, they've got to understand it. So I like to encourage them in that way. I wanted to encourage you also to make sure you're putting family resources in the hands of parents as they pick up their kids. We only get a small amount of time with the kids each week, and sometimes, lessons seem to go better than others, but we can make sure that we're putting something in the parents' hands to make sure we're saying, hey, you are the primary discipler of your kid. Here's something you can use. Here's a resource for you to use at the middle of the week or whatever makes sense for that family. But it's so important that we're putting something in their hands so that the conversation can continue in the homes. If you're low on any supplies that are needed, maybe it's just markers and crayons, maybe it's Clorox wipes to kind of clean up the area, whatever it is that you realize you are missing, maybe it's snacks and you're like, hey, we need more candy in here, we need more goldfish, things like that. Make sure you're letting me know when our stocks of supplies are getting low. Maybe that's shooting me a text or an email so it's something I can look back at and say, hey, I remember now this person said that we need to order this thing. So if you start to notice that we're low on something, shoot me a text, shoot me an email with the supplies that we need ordered, and we'll make sure we restock those areas so that we can be taken care of there. I wanted to encourage you to just be creative and be flexible. Like I said before, the lesson's not always going to go just how you planned. Sometimes things get derailed. Sometimes anything can happen. So if it doesn't go exactly as you planned, that's okay. Just roll with the punches, be creative, be flexible. Sometimes you have the kids for longer periods of time than others. Maybe show up with some personal stories or a personal illustration that you thought of through the week, or screen mirror something from your phone onto the TV. Be ready to be flexible and be creative in how you engage with the kids, because things aren't always going to go, boom, 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 as laid out in the lesson plan that we give you. So we want to give you the liberty and the freedom to be creative, to be yourself. When you get that content and that lesson plan, I'm not expecting you to absolutely, in the exact order that I laid it out, say everything word for word. I want you to understand it, and I want you to teach it in a way that you feel like you can effectively teach these kids. That might look different for everybody, but let's make sure we're staying on the main Bible story, the main idea, that we're showing the video lesson. But I want you to have the freedom and the creative space to be yourself as well with the kids. That goes for our kids' church volunteers and the Loft. Lastly, we want to make sure we're inclusive of all kids, that no kid in kids' church or the Loft feels left out or like they need to sit in the corner to be by themselves. Let's make sure we're inclusive, that we're welcoming and caring to all of the kids that step foot in our kids' spaces, so they know somebody cares about them. Lastly, last couple things, we want to make sure you're on the same page with your team members. Some of you have been serving on the same team with the same person for a long time, and some of you are new parents, right? That's great, but make sure you're on the same page. I want to encourage you to communicate with each other leading up to the time that you're serving. That way there's clear expectations for who's doing what, and you're doing this role and I'm doing this role, and we don't just show up and start winging it and saying, hey, I'll do this part, you do this part. This is a unique opportunity for you to grow with your ministry partner, for you guys to practice this stuff together, for you to hold each other accountable, and for you to be on the same page. Everything's better, and it feels so much more special when we're serving as a team. So I want to encourage you guys to be on the same page with each other. Make sure we're cleaning up our spaces before we leave, wiping things down. If you need to sweep, make sure that gets done, and make sure we're turning the lights off. Whatever adult is the last one leaving the room, make sure that lights are getting turned off before we leave. And lastly, please be at the 9:20 meeting on Sunday mornings. This is when we like to rally together, everyone who's serving in any capacity on a Sunday morning. We like to rally together, prepare together, and pray together, and we're expecting God to do big things together. So make sure that you're in the Monroe Fellowship Room the Sunday mornings that you serve at 9:20, so we can get together, get in the same headspace, pray to God that He would do big things. It's a special time together, so make sure you are there. Again, we love you. We appreciate you so much, all of our kids and Loft workers. I think I started this off saying just the Loft, but this video is for our kids' church and Loft, so K through 2 kids' church, and also 3rd through 5th grade Loft. All of these things apply to all of you. If you need anything else, if you need assistance with anything, I know sometimes it's little things like, how do you get the video on the screen? Make sure you're taking that jump drive, you're putting it in the USB port on the back of the TV. But if you need help with even little things like that, or you just have questions or concerns throughout the week, please feel free to let me know at any time. My goal is to make sure you are equipped and resourced to do this work with your gifts and the best of your ability. So I'm on your team, I'm in your corner, I'm here to support you. Thank you so much for all that you do. We love you, and we will see you the next time you're serving in kids' church or the Loft.